I don't normally do this, but I'm going to do it.
If this bill in 2 years is obsolete because we have passed a federal food safety program and Senate Bill 14 just, goes away, that's the goal.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. I don't know about you, but growing up, a lot of us thought of disruption as kind of a destruction. And it's a kind of disrespect we often wouldn't dare touch. But my guests today, they've completely flipped the script. They're two high school friends who reunited. They even went to college together later in life to take on systems that they knew needed fixing and could be improved so much. One, he went on to author and pass Louisiana's SB 14, and it's a bill addressing children's health and nutritional needs. And the other helped him build the habits that made it possible. Together, these two are living proof of what some grit, real commitment, and the courage to take risks can achieve. Please welcome close friends and a dream team, Senator Patrick McMath of Louisiana, and my dear friend and disruption coach, Dominic Luke. This podcast is brought to you by Vionic. Besides my family and my friends, I truly believe that the greatest thing that all of us own is our well-being. And for me, oftentimes, you've got your internal health. Your health starts from the ground up. Literally, I've always had this kind of love-hate relationship with shoes. I'm a size 12. I could find great ones for training, but in everyday life, no chance. Comfort usually meant giving up style. Well, that is until I found Vionic. I've been wearing Vionic shoes for years now. They feel like recovery sneakers, but look like chic flats or sleek loafers. Stylish and supportive. It's a total game changer. Vionic shoes are built on real science, grounded in biomechanics and designed with purpose. So whether I'm traveling, running errands, or just out with friends, I feel supported, grounded, and confident. Because how we move through the day, it really matters. So just like your nutrition or your mindset, what you put on your feet impacts how you feel. So if you're ready to move with intention, start from the ground up. Use the code Gabby, Gabby, at checkout for 15% off your entire order. All you have to do is go to vionicshoes.com. That's VIONICSHOES.com. When you log into your account, it's a one-time use only. Vionic shoes, wearable well-being for your feet. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm excited. I have two guests today. Senator Patrick McMath. Are we going to call you Pat during this conversation?
You can call me Pat. Yeah.
It feels a little informal.
Please.
I feel like once you're a senator, just be like, and a friend of mine, Dominic Luke, and we'll explain the connection all the way around. But before we start this conversation, this just feels really important for me as the host of this conversation. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to do it. We are going to be talking about a bill, Senator, that you championed, the SB 14. Mm-hmm. And this bill feels really important to me as a mom, full stop. And I think sometimes when we've had conversations around, let's say, the MAHA movement, that gets so heavily associated with one specific person. Mm-hmm. And the reason I want to set the table today is because I think everyone cares about the health of our children and giving them a chance to grow into healthy adults. And that is why I'm having this conversation. No other reason, no red, no blue. Just the fact that as adults, if we have the opportunity to work on behalf of the wellness of our children and our greater society, that seems like a really good idea.
It's a fantastic idea.
Yes.
I call those no-brainers. Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
So I want to introduce both of you. So Patrick, you are a senator, one of how many? 39?
39, Louisiana state senator.
Yes.
If folks are watching and are worried about what's going on in D.C., I'm not their guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, the capital of Louisiana, and I represent the 11th Senate District, and there's 39 of us.
Yeah. And is it safe to say that Louisiana on the sort of health ratings in the states is...
Yeah, dead last, typically. Oh, yeah.
Above West Virginia even?
They might have us beat maybe Mississippi, but we're typically 49, 48, 47. So the fact that the legislature, with the support of the governor, passed what has been described by Secretary Kennedy himself as the most comprehensive MAHA bill in the country is pretty amazing, because I think it shows that Louisiana is taking the health of our people seriously.
Yeah. And the other part of that, you mentioned Kennedy. My thing is, again, regardless of your politics, if we just talk about health, something or some things or many things are clearly not working. And here we have a bunch of all of us arguing about these things instead of collectively saying, hey, something isn't working, whether it's our food, our pharma, our lifestyles, our blue light, our sitting, or all these things, all the variables, we can all agree that it's not working. So the idea of shaking it up, making changes, that we need to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So a few stats real quick. 77% of Americans are obese or overweight. Over 70% of the military eligible population is not eligible for military service because of their health. And 9 out of the 10 top causes of death in this country are lifestyle and preventable.
So Dom, I'm going to call you Dom.
Please.
You called me and we talked about interviewing the senator, and you and I we've known each other a few years now, and we've actually worked together. You've been kind enough to be out of your busy life and come and run water safety for events that we're doing because, well, you're overqualified. So maybe you can just share with people your background and the connection between the two of you.
Yeah, sure. So a majority of my career, a good 10 years plus of my career was in the special operations world. I was an Air Force pararescueman. And so my role was technical rescue. We would go into situations where someone was having a really, really bad day, and we had to figure out how to solve that problem. And so when I got out of the military and I moved back home, I tried to figure out, how do I take all this experience, knowledge, and value from solving these said military style problems into the civilian world? You and I got linked up, started doing some stuff with XPT. But I then got into the performance coaching world, where I started working with CEOs, founders, business leaders, in helping them reform their process and helping them recognize that some of the obstacles they think they have are just self-imposed, and how do we build around that to get through those self-imposed obstacles. And that's when, Patrick and I started doing some of this work together, when he hired me as his own personal coach. And we've been working together now for about 3 years. And to advance him and move him past these set obstacles that he thinks he has, and all the things that prevent us from getting to where we're trying to go, I just help create that space to help them get there. Yeah,
but you guys didn't meet 3 years ago.
That's true. No, we met 20 years ago. We went to college together. We went to high school together. We spent a good portion of our lives having fun and living that young phase of our lives. But it's been really nice to move past that phase of our lives into something a lot more meaningful.
So before we started this conversation, you said, I didn't even know I was going to throw my hat in the ring for the Senate race. How many days before?
I decided to run 2 weeks before qualifying.
So 14 days.
Yeah, which most of the time people kind of plan this out for a few years and let everyone know, do a lot of groundwork. And I didn't do any of that.
Did you talk to your wife about it?
I did. She told me not to do it.
She did?
She did.
Why? Because it's like, hey, we have a nice life. We've got our business. It's cute. You're making a difference over here. Isn't that good enough?
Yeah. And we had just had a newborn. Our fourth was just born by about a month before this. Mm-hmm. But she will say now, especially after Senate Bill 14 has passed, that it was absolutely the right decision. And she's wonderfully supportive, as are all of our children. And we've had some tremendous opportunities that have been born out of serving in the Senate, and some great experiences that I love that they get to, my kids. Yeah. I have an 11-year-old, a 9-year-old, a 7 and 6-year-old, and they've gotten to do some pretty cool things, and they've gotten to see their dad do some stuff. And I know it's going to stick with them for forever.
I think what really excites me about this is I can look after my family decently, and I can if my friends need help or support, I can. But the idea that you could write a bill and put it in place and make it legislation and protect people who don't know yet or their children, that's really exciting. So where did the idea, the courage, the balls to put together the Senate Bill 14? And did it come to you in a dream? Was it like just the obvious thing? Was it, where did the idea to put this bill together? And then also, why were these the points of the bill? Why were they important enough?
Well, the foundation was definitely started with the work that we were doing together. And I know it sounds silly, but I really never paid too much attention to, the effects that certain foods or lifestyle choices or, even just being able to learn how to breathe properly would have. And so the foundation was certainly laid by the work that we were doing.
So how do you get the audacity?
It sounds funny now, but I was on a hike in Montana, and I was listening to Good Energy by Casey and Callie Means, and it just sort of hit me like I'm in a position as the chairman of Health and Welfare to do something about this, and I would be absolutely wasting, my time and my constituents' time and their vote if I didn't try to address this. And in fact, I called you.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah. As soon as I got back into cell phone service, I called Dominic. I was like, I just had this, wasn't a vision. I just had this thought, and I'm going to go all in, and I want you to help me, kind of craft this legislation. And that was the aha moment, right?
So there's sort of 5 major kind of chunks, pillars to this.
Yeah.
It's like you want to go big enough, but you can't go too big, right? Like, is this how do you?
We went pretty big.
You did, but I mean, like, it's like this, a lot of decisions have to get made in order, because you go, hey, if we really want to move down the field, but it's like there's lines, right? So let's talk about the buckets that make up this bill. And why they had to be in the bill.
Okay. So there's 5 components. Originally, as the bill was filed, there were 5 components of the bill. And we were, not to get into the weeds, but we were entering a fiscal session, which is a limited session. It's a shorter session, and we're only allowed to file 5 non-fiscal bills. And those 5 go real fast. And so I wanted to, I thought strategically it made more sense to have it kind of more of an omnibus bill. But at the same time, too, it was just the nature of the past session, shorter and all the things. And so kind of combined 5 bills into really one bill. Now, in Louisiana, unlike all the other 49 states, we have Mardi Gras, and we prioritize Mardi Gras pretty much over everything else. Mardi Gras typically takes place in February or early March. All the other states, most of them, the vast majority of them, they start their sessions in January, and they go through, April or May. In Louisiana, we wait until Mardi Gras is over with before we start our session.
No.
Yeah.
Is that for real?
That's
what are you guys doing from January to middle March?
Mardi Gras.
We're celebrating. Some people go skiing, but yeah.
Have you ever heard, listen, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard having kids. Ski week? Oh, yeah. It sounds like the most pretentious. My daughter would get out of school and she goes, it's ski week. I go, that's the idea that people could go ski. It's crazy. So you guys have Mardi Gras.
We have Mardi Gras, which is wonderful and it's great.
But you use that as part of your strategy.
Well,
it's built into our politics.
It is, but also it allowed me, and I'm not the only one that does this, to pay attention to how the legislation in the other states were going. Okay.
So it's strategic. That's fantastic.
And so I was watching West Virginia had a bill, for example, that was eliminating dyes from schools or certain ingredients. Utah had something. Texas. There were 7 or 8 states that I was watching pretty closely. And I was just essentially cherry picking those
ideas. The ones
ideas.
that were working?
Or the ones that I liked.
Okay.
The ones that I thought would move the needle.
Okay.
And then, but also crafting the language to take into account kind of what those states were dealing with. Does that make sense?
Yep.
In fact, there was one component of the bill that no state had done actually, but Dominic and I, and it's full credit to him. There's a piece in the legislation that requires restaurants to disclose, not a warning, a simple disclosure, as to whether or not they cook in certain types of seed oils. Mm-hmm. There's been growing, reports, evidence that may suggest that there's inflammation can be caused from seed oils. We don't have to get into all that.
Yeah. Well, at least you're just letting people know they have the choice.
That's it.
And, listen, people hear this and go, I get confused. I can hear certain nutritionists who say, well, on their own, it can lower actually certain cholesterol and this and that. But what we find is seed oils are often a very inexpensive way to be put in processed foods combined with other ingredients that are damaging.
That's right. And
also, if you eat fried food, the damaging part is when the oil is heated up and cooled down multiple times. Mm-hmm. And so anytime you're going to eat a French fry, unless it's a one batch in beef tallow, you just got to know what you're dealing with.
Sure.
Okay, so you guys are driving down the highway and being like, let's throw that in the bill.
Yeah, well, ironically, it was the first Friday of Mardi Gras, and we decided to just head down there for the day just to we hadn't hung out in a while. And so we were kind of scheming. He was in the planning phases of this bill, and I think
I was on the phone with staff, and we were talking about one piece, and you
and
chimed
I was like,
in.
Hey, what do you think about adding the fact that we're always eating seed oils? Like, can we? Because if you go to a restaurant, it says raw food, don't consume raw food. Some of these foods
this might have nuts.
Right, right. And so it's like, why can't we force restaurants to just say, hey, we're cooking peanut oil or canola oil or vegetable oil? And so it was brought to the light, and
I said,
he was like, that's actually a great idea. Let's put it in the bill. And it kind of worked out.
In fact, just to be clear, there are restaurants that already, like Chick-fil-A does this. If you go into a Chick-fil-A, their menu on the bottom, it says they cook the chicken in peanut oil and the French fries in canola oil. Yeah. It wasn't a big ask. Yeah. But it turned out to be one of the more contentious portions of that bill behind the scenes.
Well, yeah, because of those businesses don't like. I mean, and I don't mean the restaurants. I mean the oil businesses are like, hey, why are you villainizing us? Yeah. But you're not. It's just you're shining a light on it. You know that McDonald's original fries were in beef tallow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think. Are they switching back?
Yeah, right.
I don't know. There's some fast food joints.
I will eat a McDonald's French fry if they do it in beef tallow. Yeah. I'll tell you that right now. I will be first in line. Okay, so we have that. What were the other elements?
The main piece of the bill dealt with schools and lunches and breakfasts that schools can serve, and prohibiting certain types of ingredients from being served in schools. Was the largest piece of that bill.
So what does that look like? What sort of things?
Yeah, there were.
And is it 2026 they have till, or is it till 27?
No.
Because I know it takes time.
We did, and we accounted for that. In fact, I think we made it effective 2028, 2029 school year to give the schools and the companies that
you got to change
supplies. Time to look. This is a huge ship that we're trying, and it's not going to steer on a dime.
No.
And recognize that, and also it helps to make it easier and palatable to pass that type of legislation when you're being practical about it, and it's not just about trying to get something passed so you can do a Facebook post. It's making and effectuating real change, meaningful change. And so a lot of these elements in the bill have effective dates that are a few years down the road. Mm-hmm. Another portion of it was we required there was a list of 50 some odd ingredients. It's been a little while that require a little bit more of a transparency with regards to the potential effects of those ingredients could have on like packagings and things like that. Mm-hmm. So got a little innovative and required a QR code.
I love this. It's instead of direct warning labels, giving the consumer access to information without, huge red flag on packaging, but they have a QR code that they can go on. And good if your eyesight's not great.
That's right.
Listen, I think it's like God's running joke. Like I'll be in the grocery store and I'm now just at a place where I'll need a 1.0 by the end of a day. And I'm literally like, this is a joke on me. I mean, the ingredients are so small. Yeah. Even if you were 12 years old, you could barely read it.
Mm-hmm. It would be a lot longer and a lot harder to read too if
they were
natural
real ingredients.
Flavors.
Oh, if you knew what a natural flavors. Listen,
Yeah.
we have a food business and we don't use natural flavors because people go, no, artificial. I go, yeah, okay. And then majority even of quote health food, it says natural flavors. And that means that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And people don't realize it. So here they are, maybe they're going to spend a little extra. They're going to make the effort and they don't realize that actually doesn't mean anything either. Not really.
No. Well, it's also a way for the food manufacturers to bypass satiation of your stomach and your brain that's a very bright color. Look, those are beautiful Fruit Loops. That it's been proven that kids want to eat more if it's brighter. So there's just a lot of that stuff that's going on that we're just simply exposing. Now, I have to say this. This bill was, so in addition to watching what other states were doing, I had the opportunity to get on a call with Callie Means, excuse me. Good Energy again. And that just, I wanted to get their input and they wanted to provide input. And the input was, this is great. Like, keep going. And my concern was this isn't, there's some inconsistencies with other states are doing. And he said, look, the goal should be to cause chaos.
Yeah. And
it took me a second to realize that what they were really wanting was not just, every state to be, Florida needs to be consistent with Louisiana, which needs to be consistent with Texas. It's like, just cause chaos because the food companies are terrified of what's going on in all these states and they're finally talking to us. Yeah. Keep going. And so it made it easier, quite honestly, to have these meetings with Coca-Cola and Pepsi, and they come and say, this isn't what Texas is doing. I say, that's the point. Go figure it out in DC and come back to me. If this bill in 2 years is obsolete because we have passed a federal food safety program and Senate Bill 14 just, goes away, that's the goal, right?
Right.
Because this is a nationwide thing. This isn't just a Louisiana thing. And it's working. It is working. PepsiCo they're removing certain ingredients and dyes. There's phase outs among these other companies. Coca-Cola is talking about replacing their artificial sweeteners with real sugar. I mean, that's progress.
Yeah, well, it's at least going back towards a little bit more transparency.
Yep.
So when people are drinking it, it's like, hey, you're going to have the 52 grams of sugar. And that sounds like a lot, right? Versus, well, we have these other kind of weird sweeteners. Now, do they have sodas in like high schools and junior highs? Mm-hmm. They do. Yeah, and that supplements the education system quite a bit, right? Isn't there sort of like a bartering deal that these big companies?
Yeah, I'm sure that the vending companies have some sort of agreement with the schools.
Yeah.
That's a great topic to bring up. The question was asked, does this also apply to vending machines? And I didn't want to go that far. You were talking about how far do you really want to go? Because there are a lot of kids out there that don't have access to food, just even processed food at home. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to take away a kid's ability to eat something at some point. Mm-hmm. And so what we were doing, I think, was enough. I do think that you're going to start to see a push from hospitals, let's say, to prioritize healthy eating, like vending machines and that kind of thing. I mean, they're the ones that should be the leaders in this. And I think that's going to trickle down.
Have you ever seen hospital food?
Yeah, it's
Pretty horrible.
it's pretty bad.
It's wild. This podcast is brought to you by Timeline. For me, taking care of my body, it goes way beyond just working out and eating clean. It's about so many other things. And it's also about supporting my energy and recovery at a deeper level, which is why I've added something new to my daily routine, MitoPure gummies from Timeline. I've taken Timeline in other forms, but the gummies, I have to say, are a little extra fun. They're the first ever longevity gummies powered by urolithin A. And what they do is pretty incredible. These gummies help improve energy, but at the cellular level. So instead of chasing the next energy drink or quick fix, you're actually building sustainable energy from the inside out. Since I started taking them, I just feel even better, stronger, more steady, and able to recover faster. So it's a small daily habit that's making a big difference. Plus, they're vegan, gluten-free, taste amazing. It is fun. It feels like almost like a treat, and are super easy to work into your routine. I keep them on my kitchen counter in my cabinet just so I never forget them. If you want to stay strong and energized now and as you age, you've got to try MitoPure gummies. My friends at Timeline are giving you 20% off just for being here. All you have to do is head to timeline.com/Gabby to get started. That's timeline.com/Gabby, timeline.com/Gabby. Your cells will thank you. So the other thing one of the things in the bill that I really appreciate was mandatory nutrition education for medical professionals.
Yep.
Where'd you get that one from?
So 90%, over 90% of med schools, I learned through listening to podcasts, whatever, don't require nutrition courses for residency.
Yeah.
Which is wild to me.
Or they have like a whole hour or 2 hours.
Yeah.
I think it's something like that.
It's minimal. I mean, which was just mind blowing to me. I mean, that's how important is it that what goes in our body has an effect on us, right? We've talked about that. So what I wanted to do was actually require Louisiana's med schools to require these types of courses. It turns out the legislature doesn't have that jurisdiction. So what we do control is the continuing education piece, and so that's how I slipped that in there, to the chagrin of a lot of physicians, by the way.
Oh, well, I was thinking that. I'm like, these guys are going to be like, I've been practicing for 15 years and now you're telling me I got to go back.
I had some angry phone calls from doctors telling me that, I'm not a doctor and stay out of their classroom, their continuing education. And
what does that look like though? What is what's the requirement for them?
Nominal. I mean, minimal. I think we ended up at 1 hour every 2 years, or it might even been 4 years.
That's right.
But you know what else is great about this bill? And I'm going to brag on Pat here just for a moment, because, as he kind of spoke about earlier, politicians generally get into the political game after their kids have left school. They're a little bit older. They've already established a business, and
they have a house.
Right?
They're good.
He's in a really unique position because he's got a young, motivating attitude about him, and he's pushing through bills he's drafting bills that are really making an impact. And so, from an outsider looking in at the Louisiana legislator, it's like we have him and a couple other young guys and women that are like really trying to make a shift and really trying to make a change. And, as a friend, it's just inspiring to see him do his work, but it's also watching him and other people in his legislature that are around his age shift the perspective of these older people that have been in politics for a long time. Mm-hmm. That's really, I think, one of the big shifts that's happening. Like, this is a great bill, but there's only more to come, I think, from him to keep shifting the narrative on a lot of the things that we're trying to bring to the table.
How did you, because you said you had no one vote against it. How did you get everybody to take off the political glasses and say, no, we are going to do this?
Well, the primary answer to that is, how are you going to argue against this?
They argue against a lot of things. And I've seen a lot of, and I won't use the word, I mean, everyone uses this word common sense, but there's a lot of things that I see, especially at a federal level, that you go, are we really arguing about this?
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes people so confused, because they sit at home, people were unsure. we think, I'm watching this, it seems crazy to me, but maybe I'm not, maybe I'm ill-informed or I'm crazy, but somehow you can get this bill passed, which is, yeah, it's great. And it makes a lot of sense to me, but you had nobody vote against it.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people, their taste of politics typically comes from what they see in DC. And it's been my experience that at the state level, there's still a decent amount of sanity.
Do you think it's because they're community members too, though?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's their yard.
Well, everyone goes back home to Louisiana. I mean,
Yes.
so we're all from the same similar areas, and a lot of that has to do with, and there's also a lot less party politics involved at the state, particularly in Louisiana.
You mean because you guys are just making it?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like California where it's whatever the 8th largest or 9th or was the economy in the world. Like, there's a lot in play here. New York for different reasons. It's like,
we don't have a lot of money to waste.
that's what I mean. Yeah. You guys have to.
Yeah.
So if somebody's listening to this and they think, you know what, I do feel passionate about these things, and I do want to get involved, whether it's on my local level or my state level or federal level. What have you seen that is a productive way for people, because they always go, call your local senator. It's like all that. But what have you seen that really is impactful for a civilian to do?
Educate yourself and show up.
Show up where?
Wherever, where decisions are being made, right? Decisions are made by those who show up. So the saying goes. And I think a lot of the issues that we have in this country, believe it or not, are people having a fear of being engaged. Like, a democracy is really hard. It requires an educated citizenry. And who was it? Said Benjamin Franklin said, democracy is great if you can keep it, something like that. I probably butchered the quote, but but you got to work for it, And I don't know if I think the pendulum's swinging back in the direction of people waking up and being engaged.
Yeah.
But even volunteering for your local Boys and Girls Club board, going out and signing up for leadership programs where you learn about your community and your eyes are open to a lot of the good and a lot of the bad and where the problems are, and then trying to do something about it.
Yeah. You talked about the New Mexico bill, but also other states are using your bill as a template, right, to get things like this passed in their states. So when you're crafting this, like it's got to be probably kind of specific or crafted in a very specific way. What's that process like?
On Senate Bill 14 in particular, or just legislation in general?
Well, I think on this one because you were so successful.
Yeah. I think a lot of the success had to do with the fact that we just went further than everyone else.
You just gave it a go.
Yeah, I gave it a go. I mean,
You thought, let's ask for it.
Yeah. I like to ask. So is Dominic. I like to ask forgiveness over permission, kind of a approach to life. And everything in there that we did, all 5 of those elements, makes a lot of sense. And so why not ask for it? Why limit it to 1 or 2 when you can go and try and get it all? Quite honestly, from legislative strategy, it makes sense to start up here, and most of the time you kind of got to work your way down. We didn't really have to do that with this one because there was a lot of meetings behind the scenes. Like, I probably met with Coca-Cola and Pepsi 7 or 8 times.
Do they come to you or you have to go to them?
They came to the Capitol.
They came to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of the process.
But you got to fight the dog in his house.
Do you make them wait in the waiting room?
No, I didn't. That's not my.
I'm just kidding. I'm totally joking. I'm joking. Yeah. So Dom, I got to ask you.
Yeah.
Knowing Senator Patrick, when he runs into something, 2 things that it's not going his way or someone's not agreeing with him. Because we were joking earlier when we were eating that he's, obviously focused on the good of the community, the health of, the members of the community, but that there is a sort of bully side, if you will, because I don't think you can do anything if you don't have a little bit of that, for sure. So how have you seen him sort of use that part of his personality for good? Because it's sort of like sometimes when people talk about anger and stuff, I'm like, no, anger is a very important and productive emotion. It can, motivate you. It can mobilize you towards change or towards something. So how have you seen that, and knowing him as a friend, sort of taming that beast? Because I think a lot of people think, oh, well, I shouldn't have that side of my personality. It's like, well, no, it shouldn't, ruin your life or your relationships, but it actually can be used for good.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that's one of his strengths, honestly, is when, for as long as I've known him, when you tell him, hey, that I don't know if that's the way to do that, or maybe we should think about doing it a different way, he's most likely going to say, well, we're just going to go ahead and do it this way then, just because that's kind of how he is. And so when someone comes to him and is like, hey, I don't know if we should put that in the bill, it's like, well, maybe we should definitely not put it in the bill. you know, and I've seen him operate in that way many times throughout our friendship and throughout our lives of you get a little pushback. Well, it's like, well, maybe we just need to push a little bit harder. Like,
or we're heading in the right direction.
We're heading in the right, like if people are knocking on my door 7 or 8 times on Pepsi and Coca-Cola, like, we're doing something right, I think, And so I've watched him take that approach and just say, oh, I shouldn't do it this way. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and do it this way then. Because I think that's part of my coaching strategy is to disrupt the patterns, is to help men like him or women like you find your patterns, recognize what that is, and then, all right, well, let's disrupt it. That's really what he's doing in the Senate, is he's just coming in and disrupting some old patterns that need disrupting. And he's building some coalitions around him to bring forth some of the things that you as a mother, me as a father, other people listening to this podcast really want to see. He's been able to do that in the way that he's done a lot of his things in life, and it comes to fruition for him. So
I got to tell that this reminded me of a story. So thank you, by the way.
Yeah.
Kind words. There was a moment when I think it was right before we ran the bill in Senate in Health and Welfare Committee, because that's where it starts there, and then it goes to the full body of the Senate, and then it goes to the House, and blah blah blah. That a little birdie told me that the Louisiana Chemical Association had brought up the bill, and they weren't opposing, but they weren't supporting. They were going to look into it further because some of the ingredients on the banned list they produced. And it gave me this really fun opportunity a few days later to see someone that was associated with that organization, let them know that I had heard that the conversation was had, and encourage them very strongly to please Louisiana Chemical Association come and oppose this nutrition bill, because you just made my case for me. and to the person's credit, they're like, no, it was like a fleeting thought. We were never going to do that. Trust me, I promise, blah, blah, blah. And, they ultimately didn't get engaged, to their credit. Like, you saw some crazy stuff in tech, like the American Heart Association opposed the bill in Texas
for the oils,
for
which things?
The ingredient portion or something like that.
Yeah, the American Heart Association.
And they got.
Well, do you want to trace where their funding comes from? Just look at it. Exactly. It's not that hard.
That's exactly what happened.
It's not hard.
That's what happened. And they got destroyed for that. None of that stuff kind of happened in Louisiana. I think those organizations saw what was taking place when they spoke out in other states. But to building coalitions, by far and away, the probably the primary reason why we didn't receive one no vote was the Maha moms in Louisiana. Mm-hmm. And, very vocal, very engaged, a group that probably pre-COVID wasn't typically engaged in the political process.
You're probably going to Pilates class.
Yeah. Living their life, raising a family.
Yeah, busy.
Probably looking at ingredients because they're smarter than at least I was. But came out in force. In fact, the day that Senate Bill 14 ran in my committee, there was a packed house in the committee, and my committee it's called the Henkel Room. It's actually a very large committee room. There were 3 overflow rooms. I had other senators calling me, asking me, can I please open up the doors because you couldn't move in the hallway. And the Capitol's pretty big. There had never been that many people show up, and 99% of them were there in support of the bill. And it was, most of them were the moms.
Yeah.
And so they played a huge, huge role. And I think they now recognize the impact that they can have for just showing up for one day.
Yeah. And
they're going to they'll continue, not just in Louisiana, this is across the country. Mm-hmm. I mean, and so that was really, really great to see. My wife included in that. She's not very impressed with most of what I do because she's too busy actually doing the important thing.
4 children.
Raising 4 kids.
Yeah.
But I knew I was onto something when she loved the bill and knew about it and clearly had read it. I was like, you read the bill? She goes, yeah.
You got a little extra love in that night, maybe.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So you mentioned earlier that there was maybe a period of time right in the beginning where it was a little overwhelming. Like in a short spurt, I make this decision, I win, now I'm here, and feeling overwhelmed or claustrophobic, I think the word was.
Yeah.
Right? So Dom, I think people experience this in their life, right? We get overwhelmed. I don't think we always can trace it, because I do think we're getting hit from so many places. I would be really interested also if we could ever talk about LED lights in classrooms. Can we get a bill for that?
Please.
I'm being serious.
Yeah, I know.
What about grow lights? Plant grow lights in classrooms. Anyway, just think about that.
Okay, noted.
Well, because they're flickering all the time. They're making us nutty and we don't even know it. Yeah. So how do you help someone capable and smart and confident and all these things still feeling like, man, this is overwhelming? Because I think a lot of us want to do something new or different. And maybe we make the initial move and then all of a sudden we go, oh, I'm in over my head. Mm-hmm. I feel this way about certain endeavors I take on. Mm. What are some of the things that you guys talked about to help Pat navigate out of that?
Good question. Because it's not just him. It's a lot of us where we get into our grind and our routine of stuff and we fill it with other things, right? What are those things? Well, alcohol could be one of them. Mm-hmm. Fast food could be one of them. Yeah. Not sleeping well, mouth breathing. So we get into these sometimes unconscious practices that really slow us down in our physical body, in our mental body, in our emotional state, in our spiritual state. And I think that's part of where he is recognizing that the things that he was doing, his patterns that he had, just weren't getting him where he needed to go. And they were actually slowing him down, mm-hmm. right? And so when you're in that pattern, it's hard to see other patterns that are accessible to you that are better, right? And so that's where I get to come in and just ask questions. That's really all that I do is I come in, but I ask challenging questions like, hey, why are you staying up till midnight looking at Instagram on your phone? Like, I want an answer for that. Don't tell me you're just scrolling. Like, there's a deeper reason why you're going to try to get that dopamine hit because you're not getting it from somewhere else in your life. So let's just change the pattern. You already have a routine. It's just not the right one.
Yeah.
So let's just shift that pattern around, get rid of this Instagram thing that you're doing at 12 o'clock at night and put in this breath practice or put in this little meditation practice or go to bed instead of stay up, right? But it's hard to see those things when you're in it, when you're doing that thing daily and you're just on the grind and you're in it and you wake up and you're like, I am overwhelmed. I'm not in good shape. My gasket's about to blow. How do I get out of this loop that I'm in, right? And so I get to just come in and introduce things that get you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right? Breath work, meditation, yoga, sauna, ice baths, pool workouts, jiu-jitsu, going on hard work, having vulnerable conversations just to open the heart is sometimes all you really need. But then you actually have to like get into that next level of thinking. Some people may call it a flow state, right? When you get into that next level of thinking, the decision, the question, the pathway forward, the next move, it comes a whole lot easier when you're in a clear framework of thinking and not bogged down with all of the other stuff that you got going on. And so my role is to create a space, I use 90 minutes of time. And within that 90 minutes of time, we're going to work together one-on-one. The first 10 to 15 minutes, breath work, meditation, and intention setting. We have to get super intentional about what it is we're working on. Because if I just came in here and was like, hey, how you feeling today, man? You okay? Okay, well, let's go on. Like, there's no...
Intention setting is hard, isn't it? It's
harder
harder than you think.
It is.
Even when you have a direction and an intention, to be specific and to drill down, it's pretty hard.
It was one of the harder things that... It's still hard for me to do today.
But it comes out though.
Yeah.
Because after that first 10, 15 minutes, we're then going to do something hard. We're going to sit in a sauna with a breathing mask on. We're going to get into an ice bath.
Nightmare, by the way.
We're going to do these things to put you in the moment, because we're always got this outside stuff blocking us and distracting us. But when you get yourself in that moment and you're present and you're focusing on a task, on an intention, it's almost as if everything slows down but gets incredibly fast.
Yeah.
Time slows down, but you're working incredibly hard on the task at hand. Well, some people call that a flow state, right? We then take that intention and we go to the whiteboard. And using my knowledge and my experience of solving problems in the military, that same concept building, those same framework, we just apply it to your set intention. And then after the whiteboard session, which is generally 30-ish, 40-ish minutes, at the end of it, we're going to have a thing called grit work. I call it grit work because that's the name of my company, Grit, but it's also gritty. It's not meant to be easy. It's not meant for you to just, okay, go to bed at 6 o'clock and wake up at 6 a.m. It's like, you have to go out and like do these new practices, and it's going to be gritty. It's going to be hard, but that's also what it is you're looking to do. Like, you're trying to make this shift over here. It's just not going to happen, right? So that's the work that him and I have been doing, is these intentional 90-minute grit sessions where we get super specific on what the goal is. Mm-hmm. But it's also, okay, are we talking about your dad hat? Are we talking about your senator hat? Are we talking about your husband hat? Are we talking about your son hat? Like, there's different versions of him. There's different versions of you. Mm. We have to get clear on what version we're working on right now, because we can't just work on all 5 of them at one time. Because then there's no intention, there's no direction.
Yeah, and you don't want to be wearing your senator hat when you're being in your dad or your husband hat. That's probably not going to work so well, I would imagine.
It doesn't. That was something that I will say this. My wife definitely knows when I put in the work with Dominic, because I come home. She said, "Do you work with Dominic today?" Because I'm just more.
You switch the gear.
Yeah.
You know how to gear switch.
Yes. And she appreciates it. I'm a better dad too.
Yeah.
Because of the work that we put in. That's honest to God. Forget about the legislative stuff. Husband, father, the improvements that I've seen just in my ability to be better at that is first and foremost. And that's because of the work that we've done.
Well, yeah, and when I take on a client and I ask, and I'm their coach and they are my client, I'm not gonna allow you to just skirt by. Like, I'm gonna call you on your shit.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're hiring me to do. You're asking me to come into your life and disrupt your patterns and to help move your needle. And so I'm not, like, that's why you hired me, right? So I'm gonna ask the challenging questions. I'm gonna push you past that comfortability level because I know that you can get there. But then I'm also going to get to hold you accountable to that stuff that we come up, that grit work. Tomorrow I'm going to text you and say, hey, do your grit work today. Next week I'm going to text you, hey, how's that process of integrating your grit work going for you? Mm-hmm. Right? And so I get to see people here. I help them get here, but this in-between phase, I have to hold them accountable to the work for them to get here.
Yeah. This podcast is brought to you by one of my favorite brands, Maui Nui Venison. I don't know about you, I'm always in the market for clean, high protein snacks that actually taste good. So I'm excited to tell you about my regular go-to Maui Nui's Venison jerky sticks. These live in all places. They're in my car, they're in my gym bag, a travel pack. They're perfect clean fuel between workouts or when I'm just on the move, I've got no time to eat, and in between meetings or unexpectedly stuck in traffic, which happens often. Each stick has 10 grams of protein at just 55 calories, and they're made from wild access deer harvested on Maui. So there's no fillers, no artificial junk, just pure nutrient-dense protein that works with your body, not against it. I personally love the peppered flavor. It's got this bold, savory spice with just the right kick, and it's sugar-free. But if you like a touch of sweetness, who doesn't now and again, the original is also delicious with just 2 grams, but it's brown sugar. And what makes this even better, Maui Nui, they're on a mission. Every bite supports ethical, stress-free sourcing and helps restore balance to Hawaii's ecosystem. It's protein, but with a purpose. And it tastes amazing. Right now, Maui Nui is offering a free 12-pack of their jerky sticks with your first order of $79 or more. All you have to do is go to mauinuivenison.com/Gabby to grab yours. That's mauinuivenison.com/Gabby, mauinuivenison.com/Gabby for your free venison stick starter pack. You should try them. What do you see? Because you see all different types of people. Do you think that most of us are just wasting time? What is the thing that's really crushing us, from whether it's a person who's has a 9-to-5 job, they're a CEO, they choose to be a stay-at-home mom? What is it, do you think? Is it that they don't have a good self-care practice first? What are the things that you think are really the biggest stumbling blocks for people to keep them from being able to level up?
Some people just don't know how. They just were never exposed to how to do hard things. You know, it's not an easy process. You know this. It's not an easy process becoming a professional athlete. There are things that you had to do on your daily basis to get you to the level that you wanted to be, right?
Okay, but let's say this. Your environment, my environment. I was going to lose. I was going to be embarrassed. I was going to let my team down. There was a lot of things built into that made it easier. You were dealing with life and death. Do I need to make it more complicated than that? Mm-hmm. Okay. So what about the person where those kind of factors aren't in place, where it's like you could kind of get away with it? Do you know what I'm saying?
To a point, though, like him and other people, it's now affecting their relationships, though. It's affecting some of their decisions in their life. And so it's potentially affecting the relationship with your wife, or affecting your relationship with your children because you're not able to take off your senator hat and walk into the door and put your dad hat on. And so you're still thinking, this isn't happening, but I'm just using this as an example, right? Yeah. Where the stuff that's coming from Baton Rouge or from the office is now being filtered into your kids, and your emotional state around your children isn't what you want it to be, right? So there's many different ways of how it plays out.
Wouldn't you say, though, that the very first step is to recognize that you're not awake? Like we talk about people that are awake and people that are not. You know, you walk through a crowd of people, and you're like moving through the crowd.
Yeah,
right?
It's like they're blind.
And especially at a phone. That's my favorite. People walk around in a city.
Yeah.
Just looking at their phone on the street.
Seems like there are a lot of people are just asleep.
And
they don't know that the thing that they bring in home from work that's affecting their kids is affecting their kids.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, wouldn't you agree with that? So you have to like wake up first. Or and it's a slow thing. It's like almost coming out of a coma. You kind of wake up for a second. You're like, I don't like that. I'm going to go back to sleep because that looks hard. Like,
yeah.
It does.
So that's the first step that has to take place. And then it becomes addicting when you realize, wow, I was like way asleep here, and now I'm awake, and things are starting to, I recognize what's happening around me because of the, of the whiteboard sessions, right? Or dude, this sauna is really, really hot. Or this ice bath is really, really cold. But I got to stick it out for another 15 minutes, right?
I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I think that's why I always want people to take, if you train pretty hard, there's something about that I find, and I don't mean people have to kill themselves, but there is something about those moments that just if you're in your body, then you're in your spirit, then you're able to also go into ask yourself, like, how am I doing? And that gives you the capability to be like, well, how's Dom doing? What are Dom's eyes doing? What do I see in his eyes that look different today than yesterday? And all of those things. So I think my hope is that people become rebellious to being asleep. That they go, you know what? Everything around me is set up for me to be asleep. And I'm going to push against this. And I'm going to do all the things I need to do, have the friends I need to have the practices I need to have, because I don't want to go down like that. It's like your one life that you have, or, that you want to be in it, and
but you also have to be willing, you have to want to do the work.
Of course.
You have to want to do it. There has to be a desire to want to move your needle, to want to get out of the hole you're in, the want to get past this obstacle. But at the end of the day, it just comes down to actually doing the work. Like, I can sit in a session and we can talk all day long about the things that you think you need to do, the things you want to do, and da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
But when that session ends, if you're not going to go and do that work, nothing is going to change.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think there's a portion of the community where they just don't even know where to start. Like, maybe they know or they don't even know that they're unaware or sleeping or whatever. But then there's a portion of the community that knows that they shouldn't be looking at Instagram at 10 o'clock at night while in bed because the blue light's bad for you and it makes your brain go. Or there's a portion of the community that knows that I should probably go home and make dinner tonight and not stop at McDonald's, or I should drink water. Like, there's people that know that, but just don't do it. They just make a choice to not do those things, right? And so there has to be like a desire and a want to move the needle and to get to that next level.
Yeah. So Justin always gets a question in all of this. Justin, do you have look at your face. Look at his face.
Who's this for?
For everybody.
Okay.
Why do you feel that some of these topics just get so highly politicized? And it's like basic facts of
shmoney.
Money.
Yeah. Money.
It's the shmoney.
It's that simple that
yes.
You'll find people to just fight against facts.
Listen, I'm happy to say this. We're people, because we take everything at face value. But when I think you come to this life in this form, it's like you have your biology, right? You're naturally meant to conserve energy. If you could get your hands on it, you're meant to overeat it. We have some impulses that are pretty identifiable. And I also think, and we sort of alluded to it earlier, if there is good, then there's other. And I just think as a human, when you go through life, if you can understand that those forces are always pulling. And in our world, at the table we live at, money, which then is associated with power and all these other things, it is no joke what people will do for it. It will blow your mind what people will do for it.
Would you agree with that answer, money?
Yeah, I mean, we have a system that is set up to profit. It's more healthcare related, okay? It's more profitable when more people are sick. And we're getting to a point now, and again, this is where I'm going to have to like start starting my car with the remote starter.
That's not funny though.
It's not. But my way of dealing with fear is through laughing and joking about it. But we're getting to a point where people, like, the same companies own the hospitals, that own the food companies, that own the
cigarette companies,
the insurance companies, and it's they have a duty to their shareholders.
Yeah.
And so it's not really their fault. They're just operating within the system.
The expectation, what their job is, and all of that. It
absolutely plays the number one role in how we got to where we got is profit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good question.
Okay, follow-up question. Completely different though. So when you ran and then you won, how long did it take for you to like hit the ground running and like learn the system and the ins and the outs and who allies were?
And get your parking space.
Yeah.
He's got a great one. He's got a good one.
I think I got one. It was pretty quick. I try to, throw myself completely into something. I will say this, because of my desire to want to like not screw this up and hit the ground running, which I think I did. A lot of what we do at the Capitol is built around relationships, and so I wanted to really build relationships with people and understand how everybody ticks, and that I think allowed me to navigate this new environment fairly quickly and learn a lot fairly quickly. It absolutely had an effect on my home life. And that's right around the time, it's probably about 18 months in, is when I called Dominic and said, something's not right. We need to start working on it. And it was the biggest thing was a rebalance. Sorry, this is kind of not really your question, but it was a rebalancing that needed to take place.
I can answer some of that
between my my Senate hat and my work hat, and more importantly my family, husband, child hat. But I did achieve my goal of learning a lot very quickly and positioning, I think, myself to be someone that can be trusted in the legislature, and which makes it easy to pass bills and to bring money home to your district. And I think I'm pretty good at that.
So last questions to both of you. Right now, today, as you said, because it's an ongoing story. What is the sort of most interesting or powerful thing you have learned on being a father and being a husband to date?
Wow.
You got this one first, bro. Guess first.
The most interesting.
It doesn't have to be deep. It can be big or small.
Interesting and powerful thing I've learned.
It could be throw the ball back when they throw the ball, whatever it is. But if there's something that has shown up for you, because we go into it with one thinking, and then obviously we start to develop skills, hopefully, as we go through it. And you guys are 3 kids deep and 4 kids deep. And so you're in it.
The overwhelming feeling, because where we are now, like my wife says, everyone can wipe their own ass and no one's hit puberty yet.
Yeah.
It's
Lucky
like
you, buddy.
It's like a good spot.
Yeah.
And they're all really wonderful kids, and they bicker, but you can tell they genuinely love each other. Mm-hmm. They love their mom. The overwhelming sense, urge to be able to hit the pause button. And then knowing that you can't do that, and then figuring out how to emotionally deal with that, which tends to lead you in the direction of being more engaged.
Yeah.
Is that a good?
Yeah. What about as a husband? Because I think the art of being in the partnership, I think this doesn't mean that men who don't choose to marry don't go through this, but I think you really start to grow up. I call it male wisdom.
I am definitely a more mature individual because I have a spouse that is amazing with our kids. Mm-hmm.
But how do you support her?
I go out every day and try to make sure that they're comfortable in, with their house and with their cars and
Mm-hmm.
and with the sports, and I view my role as the father and a husband and a man as the one that's supposed to provide. Mm-hmm. I think that I don't know if that's controversial in 2025. Might have been
might be. Watch out.
Watch out. But she's a stay-at-home mom, and
hard job.
Yeah, so she has the hardest job. Yeah. My job is to make sure that she can stay home and support her job.
Yeah.
Now I will say, we have been working, and we continue and can continue to get better at remembering that we fell in love with each other before the kids were. Mary Michael came, our oldest came. We baptized her on our 1-year wedding anniversary.
Oh, you went right. And I feel like your fourth child, you did not tell me this, but I feel like your fourth child was a surprise. Because you said 6 and 7. So I was like, there's no way that was planned.
1,000%.
Yeah. I mean, Irish
that's
twins
a whole
or whatever.
other
Yes.
story. We don't have to talk about.
No, we won't.
Podcast,
When you said,
yes.
when you're like 11, 9, 7, 6, I was like, oh, 6 was a, yeah.
She was. And she's the most unique one.
Yeah, of course.
She loves dancing on elevated surfaces. That terrifies me as a father. But we'll figure that out, I guess, later on down the road. But yeah, no, we have to put more time in, and we're starting to do this.
Yes.
With just each other and not talking about the kids.
Yeah.
And in fact, we're going
Did you go to Mardi Gras or something together?
Yeah, right. Yeah, Mardi Gras. We're going to. Well, actually, the route of Mardi Gras is France, and we are.
Nice.
We're going on a trip with our friends here coming up, and we decided to just her and I go 3 days early and spend just time together, just the two of us in Paris.
Great.
Good
job.
So things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's seasons too, right? When you have a newborn baby, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I love the season that we're in. Like
I enjoy it.
I absolutely
I can't wait to
love
have
it.
teenagers.
Yeah.
I always love it.
Yeah, I think one of the for the children's piece, I think the big thing that I am currently focusing on is remembering how to play. It's like, it's very easy to go and say, hey, y'all go jump out on the trampoline. I'm just going to sit here and watch you versus like, hey, I'm going to come on the trampoline with you. Like, and I'm going to turn the sprinkler on and we're going to jump on the sprinkler
You want to
together.
get crazy? Put soap on the trampoline with the sprinkler.
Oh,
that's
yes.
the best.
It's that's our nightly shower sometimes. The sprinkler, some soap, and a trampoline, and 3 kids and their daddy.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
that's really the thing that my kids are teaching me right now is because I am a player. Like, I like to play. I'm playful at heart. But I'm also a grinder. I'm a worker, right? And so I like to be successful. I like to have success in my businesses. I like to be pushing people. And so I forget to play.
Yeah.
And so that's my work right now with my children, is just enjoying this playtime that I have with them right now, because it'll be over quick. And then my wife and I are a little different. We work together. We have
Do you
a
see
business.
how he said that? We work together.
We do.
I know all about that.
I have my own coaching and consulting business, but we also have a yoga brand and a studio that she's really taken the reins and is owning that and working on that on her own, but we also work together as well.
Do you ever swoop in, like she's doing it day in and day out, and then you come in and swoop in and be like, da da da?
All the time.
And then she's like, huh,
and that's
really?
part of my work. That's part of my work. And so, it's for her and I, it's remembering kind of what he said is it was us first, and then the kids came, and then it was us, and then the businesses, and then the kids. And so we really try to remember that we need a date. Yeah. Like, we try to schedule one date night a month. And on those date nights, we're not talking about work, we're not talking about kids, we're going to just date each other.
Yeah, look into each other's eyes and see
connect.
where it goes.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at in my life, is just playing with my kids, being connected deeply emotionally with my wife, and ensuring that little bubble of security for her and I is there, and just doing good.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate this conversation on a lot of levels. One being, I just want to remind people that, what do they say? Hope, love, and faith. The greatest is love. But to continue to be inspired that if we can take care of ourselves and our family and our greater community, that we can all be a part of making a change, and that there are people in places who are writing policy that are thinking about that. So, Senator Patrick McMath, thank you for your time. Dominic, Luke, I know you were not expecting to be here, but it's nice to see you not only 6 feet under the water. And then just remind people where they can find you if they want to find out either more about the bill, or if they want to find out more about GRIT, just let them know.
Yeah, for me, it's dominicluke.com, or you can find me on Instagram. Those are really the two ways to get in touch with me. And then,
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan
You're
of
like,
social.
don't call my office.
Not a huge fan of social media. But
Senator Patrick McMath, Louisiana Senate,
Yeah.
Google
District
it.
11.
I'm pretty sure I still have a website,
What's the phone number?
patrickmcmath.com. Yeah, look up, for those of you curious back at home, look up Louisiana Senate Bill 14, and you'll like what you see if you're part of the movement.
Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
This podcast has been brought to you by Laird Superfood. I know it's not fair. Laird Superfood was started in my kitchen, so yes, I'm excited to share it with you. It was started about 10 years ago. Not only does my entire family consume it, but Laird and I work on every product. What goes in the bag, the testing, we have really strict guardrails, but forget all that. It is so delicious. We've got coffees, Peruvian high altitude, low acidic coffees. We've got delicious creamers, bars, greens. But the thing I want to share with you today is our instant category. Now, a lot of times people think, oh, instant. Believe me, not only do we not sacrifice on ingredients, but it is so delicious and so convenient. So let's say you're on the go. Maybe you're working in an office or traveling on an airplane or maybe heading to college. I love our instant category so much because all you have to do is add hot water. If you like to ice your stuff, you can easily do that too, but it's so easy to use. It has high level coffee ingredients with our creamers. We've got instant latte, instant mocha, our latest instant vanilla latte. It is so delicious. I'm not a real vanilla girl, but I love this instant vanilla latte. Why? First of all, we use real vanilla, no natural flavors, no artificial flavors, no weird ingredients. Just incredible ingredients, MCT oils, so really nice for your energy, that sustained energy. You don't crash and kind of get like caffeine up and jittery down. Just a nice, smooth delivery. And again, it's so simple to use. All you do is add hot water wherever you are. So if you've never checked out Laird Superfood, by all means, see if what product suits your lifestyle the best. But I want to tell you, I love our instant products. And actually, pretty soon, in about 2 weeks, we're even going to have our instant pumpkin latte for those of you who like that little spicy bit. And if you're not a coffee drinker, I even have instant matcha, really, really trendy, and instant chai. And if you want to, head to lairdsuperfood.com. And if you put in the code Gabby20, so it's LAIRDSUPERFOOD.com. And don't forget to use the code Gabby, GABBY 20 at checkout for 20% off your entire order. I promise you will find something that not only you love, but will make your life just a little tastier, easier, and more energized.